This week I was challenged to battle a GFX artist called FL in the GFX Rhino Discord server. We both chose the reference and we had 2 weeks or so to complete it to the best of our capabilities. It's still going to be a speed up, but I'm going to be chipping in and talking about my process and stuff so you can learn at the same time. So I hope you enjoy this video and let's begin. You can see here at the start that I'm just setting up my layout because it's a long process to do this GFX, so I just want to make sure my scene's as best as I can before I start. What I'm doing here is I'm getting a plane and subdividing it a couple times, and then I'm using the sculpt tool to create a landscape similar to the one on the reference, which I'm always keeping to the left hand side of my screen so it's always there for reflection. You can see that I used a basic camera setup. It's about 30 FOV or something to really help scale how large the terrain needs to be in that so I don't go over. I also added in the characters. They're not, I won't change them, but they're just there as reference. I used Sketchfab, Fab and Polyhaven for the majority of the assets included in my thumbnails that I do. It's a really good source for free models that I still change their material properties, but it saves me a lot of time rather than having to model everything myself. What I did there with the pillar things is I made one and then I used the array modifier to just duplicate it without taking up any crucial space, so it makes it less laggy later on down the line, which is important for large detailed scenes such as this. You'll see that I end up using it a couple times as well later on. You can see that I add a cube in. I add a volume scatter property to it, and I disable the camera visibility. This creates depth in the scene and can really help with the atmosphere. I do data change, so it is currently a volume scatter in the shader editor that goes into the volume output, I'm pretty sure. But I change it to a principled volume BSDF instead, because you get a lot more attribute properties that I wanted to have access to. I really do scatter around the V-bar poles a lot, and I always keep the original ones to the side out of the scene so I can just keep going back to them if I need to, because I do edit them a bit. But I try to stick as close as I can to the reference by just making it like this chaotic, ruined construction site. And then I make a further one in the back, because you can see, obviously, it does actually need to be further back in scene. You can't just put it next to it and then always do it in Photoshop. If you can do it in Blender, do it in Blender. To help with the terrain, I get some rock assets from my Polyhaven add-on, and I put them into the ground. I don't do anything special with them except maybe adjust their properties a bit like the normal and that, but I just leave a bit this, because in the original you can see it's just a rocky terrain and that, so adding them in really helps with the detail in the ground, and it's just not this flat texture. Even if you increase the normal on the original, it's not as good compared to like actually adding in rocks yourself. I mean, you can also use geometry nodes and stuff, but I kind of wanted to be specific on where my rocks were. Here I dragged in a soldier character that I made. I didn't record this though because I wasn't sure how I wanted my character to look. You can actually get this character later on in the year after this has been uploaded, because I'm making a starter character pack with someone very important, and this will be accessible to you later on for free. So make sure you follow my Twitter to see when this gets released. The character was fully custom made as well. I mean, I did use like a vest and helmet and stuff from the Roblox Marketplace and Sketchfab, but the whole thing, like putting it onto the character, and the tank and wires were custom, like completely being made by me, but everything else is just assets that I put onto the character myself. It took about 3 hours to do. You can see I use area lights, so I am adjusting the volume shader a bit more. This is where I probably change it to from volume scatter to a principled shader instead, and then I use area lights to fill in the bits where the shader can't reach necessarily, so you can actually see the characters. It's not as realistic, but it definitely looks better in the end result. I did try adding in smoke with a VDB, but it was going to take too long and stuff, so I just scrapped it and was going to do it later in Photoshop. You can see it, to make the god rays, I make a plane and I cut some holes in with the edit tool, and I put an area like right behind it, and I really increased the brightness on it. You can't see it yet because I didn't have my volume cube settings properly adjusted, so you don't see it until later on when I realise my mistake. But this is how you do god rays. At this point you can really start to see it coming together with the lighting, especially now that I've adjusted the volume cube and you can actually see the god rays, and really gives it some more nicer lighting.
you can see that I'm basically finished now and I'm doing some testing. The characters like that, when I rendered, like, it was all stretched out and stuff because I didn't apply the surface deform modifier in the modify tab. But anyways, I rendered the characters separately along with the background, put them in holdout so there's missing from the background, and it's just putting them behind it so it fills in. But I also rendered the full one with the characters and the characters separately, so I selected the characters and then added them into my scene so I can easily add highlights with an adjustment layer later on. You can see here that I'm just doing some touching up and stuff, the lighting, like adding more glow to the like sewer waste bit, some shadows to the rocks, and that it really does. I do really intensify it later on though. You can see here I'm adding highlights to the soldier specifically, so the glowing water kind of thing is a secondary light source in the scene, so I make sure it reflects onto the character nicely, just like in the references. It's not exactly the same, but I do apply it in the same way. And then with the laser, it's a shape layer with some color overlay and then some outer glow, but then I do enhance it later with a solid color that's on linear dodge, which I paint over. For the smoke, I did try using one of my own fog brushes. I didn't make it, I just found it online, but it had like, I had to erase every time, so it was just easy. I did put a couple in, but I later just went on Google and just got a smoke effect from there, which I then changed colour with a hue and adjustment layer. That was a clip mask to the smoke layer. At this point, it's really coming to the final stages where I added a camera roll filter. There's no specific thing I did here, I just messed around with all the different sliders until I found what looked good. I did do this like 3 or 4 times, so I don't think I show here, but I definitely did it a couple times till I really got what I wanted in the end. I did want something else in there, so I decided to come up with the name Dead Air Zone. Seemed pretty cool, like toxic and radiation stuff. And added that text just over the top and added these corner pieces in with some rectangle shaped layers. Nothing major, just simple, but it fills up the bottom really nicely. I hope you enjoyed this video. It took a really long time to make, and I would appreciate it if you subscribed and liked for more content like this, you know. Trying to get 100 followers on Twitter, so that is exciting. So I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.